Former Acting Director of National Intelligence, Rick Grinnell, is still with us. And to give us a preview, let's welcome in Wisconsin Congressman Scott Fitzgerald. Sir, thanks for joining us. You're a member of the Judiciary Committee. What are you expecting from this hearing tomorrow?
Well, Jim Jordan's been doing a good job, I think, of getting the committee to kind of focus in a number of different areas. Just so happens that I think the topic that I'm going to try and dig in on is this relationship that the Bidens have had. And I say the Bidens, so it's not only President Biden, but his son that passed away a number of years ago, Beau Biden, also had a relationship with David Weiss. If you look at kind of this circle of contacts that are a result of everyone knowing each other in Delaware, it just raises more questions about what was happening over this 5-year period and why weren't charges brought up? Why wasn't it more significant in the seriousness of the charges? And then finally, if the sweetheart deal was not going to stand, which obviously it hasn't, where do we go from there? So I think there's going to be some very poignant questions in and around the David Weiss questions.
Yeah, where do you go from there? Hunter Biden, I think, made that clear yesterday. They decided to sue the IRS. So I don't think anybody's going to have a problem with the suing of the IRS, but it's suing the people that investigate you. I haven't seen that one before. Congressman, we've talked about this in the past. A couple of months ago, impeaching Merrick Garland, Alejandro Mayorkas, that was all on the table. It looks like Republicans are going to go after Kevin McCarthy once this inquiry is complete. How do you convince the 5, 6, 7 members of your caucus that are not for impeachment right now? How do you convince them to vote for this impeachment?
You do exactly what we have been doing over the last week, and that is bringing the conference together to have serious discussions and be shown the evidence. Congressman Comer, certainly, I think what you're seeing coming out of oversight is absolutely kind of the black and white numbers that we needed to see as a conference to convince some members. And then what's coming out of Ways and Means. Jason Smith has done a wonderful job, I think, of continually focusing on, these are what was requested from the IRS, which is the only committee who has that purview, and laying out in front of the conference. So I know some of the people that you're referring to, and they're good straight shooters in the conference, but the numbers are what is going to convince people.
Congressman Rick Grinnell here. I'm wondering, have we focused on Democrats at all? Have you been talking to your colleagues? Are they seeing some of this evidence? Are they saying this is troubling, at least in private? Are they saying that to you?
Yeah, Rick, it's good to see you. I think the one thing that I can say in that regard is there's been some inquiries from members of the Senate, which actually was kind of a surprise to me, that we're starting to garner some attention from some Republican members of the Senate. And in talking to them, they're saying that there are some Democrats in the Senate right now that have become very nervous about what's coming out, and in the way that it's coming out as well. So, if it comes to that, then you may see a few Democrats in the House start to get nervous as well. So it's kind of this, the more information, the better, I think it is for all of us.
Yeah, but just back to the House. So, in the Senate, they got to have 67. It's unlikely that would happen if it makes it to the Senate. But, typically these things are totally partisan, and you're supposed to be impartial jurors. Once all the evidence is on the table, could you see Democrats in the House voting for impeachment? We saw Mitt Romney vote for the first impeachment of Donald Trump, and he thought that was a profile in courage at the time. I don't think that's the case now, but do you see maybe Democrats voting for impeachment?
Well, if you look back to Watergate, right? I mean, if you read kind of what the historians have written about that period of time, and once the dam began to break, it was evident to everyone that it was, the momentum was there and it was going to happen. Right. I'm not sure we're at that point right now, but certainly, like I said, the more documentation that demonstrates that between $17 and $30 million made its way into the Biden family, it's going to be hard for some Democrats to look the other way, especially people in these very difficult seats going into a reelection.
Right.